We first see Irish immigrants moving into town in the 1850s, and the way we track it is by using the census data. The 1850 census shows that just over 100 people from Ireland had moved into town. They always track where the person is born, and that's how we're looking at it. Before that, really not any Irish in town. The potato famine hit Ireland in the 1840s, and so it just people that came after that. Our original assumption was that Irish immigrants arrived in town because they wanted to work in the textile mill in the downtown, the Exeter Manufacturing Company. But when you look at the census data, it doesn't show that. It shows that the Irish who did arrive tended to be more women than men, and all generally single, so we didn't find families coming over very often. And of those people who were here, the women tended to drift into domestic work, so they were working as housemaids and cooks, housekeepers, and the men tended to work as farm laborers or just as general laborers, day laborers as they were called. They'd be hired to do just about anything that was needed, building roads or digging ditches or moving materials. A lot of people worked down on the shipyard, not the shipyards, but down on the docks, just bringing materials in. There's a lot of hauling that had to be done back then. So a lot of Irish folks did that. The 1860 census shows a similar pattern. We're almost at double the number of Irish immigrants at that time period, but it's still the same pattern. Mostly single people, more women than men, and mostly they are working in domestic labor or general labor, so we don't find people in the factories. I think there's maybe a few people who are working in the Exeter Manufacturing Company. The mill tended to hire people from England or from Scotland at that point in time, where there was more of a textile industry, so they considered those folks to be skilled laborers. After the Civil War, however, a lot of Irishmen signed up to serve in the Civil War and came back, and when they did, things had changed. There was more manufacturing in town. We had more mills, we had shoe factories, we had Exeter Manufacturing Company, which made things like radiators and such. And so they were able to get work in those areas. So you do find that they become industrial workers after the Civil War. Because of the commonality of the Catholic Church, we find that the Irish immigrants tended to blend in with the rest of the population. So we see families who are half Polish and half Irish, because the one common denominator they had was the Catholic Church. So there's a lot of mingling in town, and you see that quite frequently. Another fun fact is that it was the Irish and the French Canadians who bring the celebration of Christmas to Exeter. Christmas wasn't celebrated by the New England Puritans. They considered it to be a kind of drunken holiday, misbehavior. It wasn't biblically based, so they didn't celebrate it at all. In fact, banned it for years and years. Once the Irish begin to come to town and Catholic Church comes in, St. Michael's Parish forms right around the time of the Civil War, there's more celebration of Christmas. It's an important part of the Catholic liturgical calendar, and so it becomes celebrated after that, and it's embraced by pretty much the whole town by the 1880s. So we have to thank the Irish and the French Canadians who followed them for bringing us Christmas.